Hello students, welcome to the class of Standard 7, subject History. Today we are going to learn about Shivaji's conflict with the Mughals. This is chapter 6 in the 7th standard textbook. This lesson is presented by Sara Pereira. So far, Shivaji Maharaj had successfully fought the Adil Shahi. But for expanding the Swaraj, conflict with the Mughals was inevitable, which is unavoidable. The Mughals posed a great threat to the Swaraj even as it began to expand. Maharaj triumphed over this threat too. He regained his forts and territories from the Mughals. He got himself crowned. He took up a campaign of the south, and we shall learn all of this in this lesson. First, that we're going to deal with is Shaista Khan's invasion. In February 1660, Shaista Khan left from Ahmednagar and entered the Pune province. He ravaged the territory of the Swaraj by sending small units of his army to the neighboring areas. Ravaged is kind of trying to get a hold over the territories of Shivaji Maharaj by sending small group of army so that they will go, they will loot the people, they will try to harass the people, trouble the people and take over the territory. And he did this in the Pune province. Now Pune province was under Shivaji Maharaj and Shaista Khan was aware of it. He encamped at Chakan. Firangoji Narsala, the Kiledar of the fort of Chakan, offered a strong resistance to Shaista Khan's army. Finally, the Mughals captured the fort of Chakan. Shaista Khan set up his camp at Lal Mahal in Pune, where Shivaji Maharaj had lived in his childhood. Khan sent his forces in the regions around Pune. These forces looted the people. 2 years passed, but he would not think of leaving Pune. And he thought that now that 2 years have already passed and now I'm already gaining control over Pune. Okay, the regions around Pune are being captured by me, they are controlled by me. So his confidence rose and he did not want to leave Pune so easily. Naturally, this had an adverse effect on the people's morale. In these circumstances, Maharaj drew up a bold plan because people had started thinking that where is Maharaj? Why is he not coming to save us? Why is he not helping us? Okay, so people were really disturbed. They were okay. Their morale had become very weak, and they were troubled so much by Shaista Khan that they started losing their faith in Maharaj also. So Maharaj definitely had to do something in this case. So he drew a plan. Shivaji Maharaj decided to raid Lal Mahal secretly under his own leadership. On 5th April 1663, Maharaj raided Lal Mahal at night with a select band of soldiers. In this raid, Shaista Khan lost his fingers. Okay, when Shaista Khan, you can see in the picture, he was sitting in his balcony. Then Shivaji Maharaj, he could have killed him also because Shaista Khan was without any weapon. But that is against the rule of Swaraj and rule of the Marathas that they don't attack the people who is without arms and ammunition. So Shivaji Maharaj, just to show his power or just to show Shaista Khan that Shivaji Maharaj could come directly into his room and kill him, he just chopped off his fingers. He suffered great humiliation because Shaista Khan, who was not prepared at that time, for him it was a great insult that Shivaji Maharaj came so close to him and cut his fingers and went away. So that was a kind of insult or humiliation. He left Pune and shifted his camp to Aurangabad. Due to this episode, he incurred the displeasure of Aurangzeb. Even Aurangzeb was very unhappy or displeased by Shaista Khan because Aurangzeb also thought that Shaista Khan, if he could not protect himself, what could he protect the captured territories? Then Shaista Khan, Aurangzeb transferred him to the province of Bengal. The successful attack on Shaista Khan had an impact on the people and their faith in the capability of Maharaj was strengthened even further. When this camp became successful and Shaista Khan was removed from Pune and he was sent to faraway region in Bengal, people also started believing in Shivaji Maharaj. They believed in his power, they believed in his capabilities, and they believed that he can save them, he can protect them. And Shivaji Maharaj was able to regain the lost faith of the people, and he was also able to regain the territory or the fort which was captured by Shaista Khan in this circumstance. The Surat campaign. This campaign has different names. Some people call it Battle of Surat or some people call it Sack of Surat. Now, this was a land battle that took place on January 5, 1664, near the city of Surat, which is in Gujarat, between Maratha ruler Chhatrapati Shivaji and Inayat Khan, a Mughal captain. Now, let us see what happened exactly. And this is put down by James Grant Duff. He was an British captain and he has written it down, and because of which we are able to understand the details of it. That Surat was attacked by Shivaji on 5th January 1664. Surat was a wealthy port city in the Mughal Empire and was useful for the Mughals as it was used for the sea trade of the Arabian Sea. The city was well populated, mostly by Hindus and a few Muslims, especially the officials in the Mughal administration of the city. Okay, most of the trading took place from Surat, and the officials, especially the rich Muslims who were outsiders, okay, they settled there, they lived there. So the attack was so sudden that the population of Surat, they had no chance to run away from there. And let us see what exactly happened and why it happened. This happened because Shaista Khan, as we did it in the previous slide, the Mughal governor, was in Deccan for more than 3 years fighting the Marathas. And the financial condition of the Maratha kingdom had become weak because of this. So, to improve his finances, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj planned to attack Surat, a wealthy port which generated ₹1 million in taxes. His aim was to capture and loot the wealthy port city and bring all the loot back to his main residence, the Raigad fort. And then this battle it started, and Inayat Khan, who was in opposition, he had only 1,000 men, whereas Chhatrapati, okay, he had 10,000. Okay, he was all prepared, and he had attacked suddenly, and so the Mughals they were not prepared, and so they could not. Inayat Khan, he was, though he was a subedar, he could not protect or he could not show any kind of resistance against Chhatrapati, and Surat was under attack for nearly 3 days, in which the Maratha army looted all possible wealth from Mughal and Portuguese trading centers. Okay, there were foreign trading centers also in the same place. The Maratha soldiers took away cash, gold, silver, pearls, rubies, diamonds, and emeralds from the houses of rich merchants, and the business of different people, different merchants, everything was shattered. And this news also spread throughout the country. Everywhere it was spread that Shivaji Maharaj has attacked Surat and he has looted so much, and he has attacked the in the houses also of the wealthy people. So this increased the power and supremacy of Shivaji Maharaj, and people also started to know how powerful Shivaji Maharaj is, and how powerful his kingdom is, how powerful his kingdom is spreading. Okay, so just to again summarize this, in 3 years' time, Shaista Khan had ravaged large territories of the Swaraj, and it was necessary to make good this loss. And for this, Shivaji Maharaj devised a plan for teaching the Mughals a lesson. Surat was a big trade center and port under Mughal control. The British, Dutch, and French had their factories there. Maximum revenue was being gathered by this city for the emperor. It was a rich city. Maharaj marched on Surat. Inayat Khan, the Subedar of Surat, could not put up any resistance. Maharaj obtained plenty of wealth from Surat without bothering the common people. His campaign of Surat was completely successful, and this campaign was a stunning blow to Emperor Aurangzeb's prestige. Emperor Aurangzeb's prestige was also questioned. People started questioning that if this emperor, the Mughal emperor, is so powerful, how can Shivaji Maharaj directly come, attack, loot, and destroy as if he was not nothing had happened. So this was a great blow on the power of Aurangzeb as well. Now let us move on to the next topic, that is Jai Singh's invasion. With a view to curbing the increasing activities of Shivaji Maharaj, Aurangzeb sent Mirza Raj Jai Singh, an experienced and powerful Rajput Sardar. Aurangzeb was really disturbed and he was angered with what happened in Surat. And he was not going to sit quiet. He had to do something. So he tried to not send any Mughal. Instead of that, he sent a Rajput Sardar only, an Indian only, to fight against an Indian. And for that purpose, he chose Mirza Raj Jai Singh. Jai Singh came to Pune. He started rallying all the forces against Shivaji Maharaj. Because he was an Indian, he had other contacts also. He knew other Sardars also. He had many Sardar friends who would help him. So when he came to Pune, he directly did not go to attack Shivaji Maharaj. Instead, he first tried to collect people. He tried to collect more armies, okay, more help, so that once only when everybody come together, it would be easy to fight with Shivaji. So he started rallying or gathering all the forces against Shivaji Maharaj. To the Portuguese of Goa and Vasai, the Dutch of Vengurla, the British of Surat, and Siddhis of Janjira, Jai Singh suggested that they should start a naval campaign against Maharaj. So he not only spoke to the Indian Sardars, but he also spoke to the Portuguese and the Dutch and the British, because they were all powerful. Their navy was already strong. So Shivaji Maharaj's navy, which was getting prepared, which was getting trained, that would be easily crushed when so many naval powers from different countries would come and they would fight against Shivaji Maharaj. So for this purpose, he spoke to the Portuguese of Goa and Vasai, and the Dutch of Vengurla, the British of Surat, the Siddhis of Janjira. Okay, everybody he tried to collect together, and he suggested that they should all start a naval campaign. Okay, if it is not possible to fight on land, he thought that let us fight on the sea. So for that purpose, he planned this mission. Jai Singh drew up a plan of capturing the forts in possession of Maharaj. Mughal forces were sent to various parts of the Swaraj. They ravaged the territories of the Swaraj. So he tried to attack from all the sides. He told the British, the French, the Portuguese, and the Siddhis to fight from the naval side. And then he, along with the Mughal powers and Mughal forces, Mughal army, he tried to capture the forts. And we know, we have learned it in the previous chapter also, that forts were very important for any kingdom. The more the forts, the more powerful the king is. So Shaisa Khan, not Shaisa Khan, Jai Singh decided to capture the fort, so that if many forts are taken away from Shivaji Maharaj, ultimately his power will come down, he will be weak. So Jai Singh focused on ravaging, okay, or kind of taking over and destroying the forts of Shivaji Maharaj. Maharaj endeavored to resist the Mughals. Jai Singh and Diler Khan laid a siege to the fort of Purandar. Jai Singh was not alone. Diler Khan also was there with him, a Mughal Sardar, and they had well prepared, well planned, and a huge army was there. So Shivaji Maharaj could not fight with the navy also and the army on land at one and the same time. So Shivaji Maharaj found it very difficult to resist this attack by Jai Singh. When the Mughals put the fort of Purandar under siege, Murarbaji Deshpande fought with the greatest of courage. He died a hero's death. Considering the seriousness of the situation, Maharaj began talks for a treaty with Jai Singh. Maharaj now realized that his brave soldiers are dying now. Brave Sardars are dying, so it is now high time that he should do something for them. And so he started talking uh, with Jai Singh that what he wants, how can this be settled. He met Jai Singh personally. A treaty between Jai Singh and Maharaj was signed in Pune in 1665. It is known as the Treaty of Purandar. In accordance with the terms of the treaty, Maharaj gave to the Mughals 23 of his forts and the adjoining territories, yielding an annual revenue of 4 lakh horns. Okay, so adjoining territories were the territories which were around the fort. So 23 forts had to be surrendered by Shivaji Maharaj. He also assured the Mughals of help against the Adil Shahi, and the treaty was ratified by Aurangzeb. So this was a treaty signed by between Jai Singh and Shivaji on behalf of Aurangzeb. Okay, and these were all the terms that were put in the treaty. So a treaty was signed between Shivaji Maharaj and Jai Singh. But this treaty was signed on behalf of Aurangzeb. So Maharaj wanted to meet Aurangzeb, but Jai Singh, he did not allow Maharaj to meet Aurangzeb directly. He just, according to the treaty, it was decided that Shivaji Maharaj would help them against Adil Shahi. So first only Jai Singh tried to use Shivaji Maharaj against Adil Shahi. So after the Treaty of Purandar, Jai Singh launched a campaign against the Adil Shahi. Maharaj helped Jai Singh, but this campaign of Jai Singh was not successful. Jai Singh and Aurangzeb felt that Shivaji Maharaj ought to be kept away, at least for some time, from the Deccan politics. They thought that Shivaji Maharaj has promised, and according to the treaty, it is mentioned that he will help us against the Adil Shahi. But because this first campaign was unsuccessful, we cannot fully trust Shivaji Maharaj. Maybe he is not truly helping us. Maybe he is still on the side of Adil Shahi. So they did not trust him fully, and so they decided to keep him away from the Deccan politics. Jai Singh proposed to Shivaji Maharaj that he should visit Agra and meet the emperor. He guaranteed the safety of Shivaji Maharaj. Shivaji Maharaj set out for Agra because he had to meet Aurangzeb once because a treaty was signed between them. So he had to directly go and talk to him face to face. So he also agreed to go there. He was accompanied by Prince Sambhaji and few of his trusted people who were ready to risk their lives for him. He did not go alone, he went with his son Sambhaji. Shivaji Maharaj reached Agra. Aurangzeb did not treat him with due honor at his court. Shivaji Maharaj was treated just like any ordinary Sardar who would come, who would just visit and go. So Shivaji Maharaj did not like this behavior or this kind of attitude of Aurangzeb. He was not happy with it. And so Maharaj gave vent to his rage. Okay, the Maharaj, he spoke against it. He said that this is not the way that you treat a Maharaj. And when Maharaj tried to speak against the treatment of Aurangzeb, the emperor put him under house arrest. Now, house arrest is a kind of arrest where you're not completely behind bars, you're not completely in jail, but you are in a house with all the facilities, but still that is kind of a jail. You cannot go out without permission, you cannot be allowed to go away. So this is also a jail, but because he was a Maharaj, that was house arrest, we call it. Undeterred by this action of the emperor, now this was again an insult for Maharaj, because first of all Maharaj was not treated well, and secondly he was put under house arrest. So this was against his policies. He had just come there to meet Aurangzeb, and then he was put there under house arrest. So this was kind of cheating or betrayal. And he adroitly escaped from Agra and reached Maharashtra safely after a few days. And this escape was not easy. This escape was a very tricky one. Shivaji Maharaj, what he did is he drew a plan he acted as if he was not well, and he was sick, and he he suggested that they have to send fruits to the poor people, fruits and sweets, so that he get blessings from them, and then his health will be improved. So Aurangzeb agreed for that, and then every day they started sending huge boxes and huge baskets of fruits and sweets to the poor every day from uh, the fort of Agra. These boxes would go, and then every day there was checking. But then after few days, when the soldiers, they decided that every day why to check, because same things are going every day, they stopped checking. And then one day Shivaji Maharaj realized that now they are not checking the baskets anymore. He sat in one box, and in another box he put his son Sambhaji, and this is how they escaped from Agra and they reached Maharashtra. He reached Raigad. While returning from Agra, he had left Sambhaji Raje at Mathura. Okay, and he went further. Later, Prince Sambhaji was brought safely to Raigad. While Maharaj was away from Swaraj, Veer Mata Jizabai and the associates of Shivaji Maharaj looked after the administration of Swaraj. His mother, okay, she was always there to look after the kingdom, to look after the territory, and when he was out, she took care of the Swaraj. The remaining part of the chapter will be continued in the next module. Till then, thank you.